3 Lives 3 Worlds, 10 Miles of Peach Blossoms. By Tangqi Gongzi. Translated by Hamster 428. Chapter 13. Yesterday I fell out of consciousness at the wrong time, so I didn't get to see Yahuwah taking the 3 out us away. But it should be an easy task for someone with his capability. Migu has always been smart, thus I'm sure he already took Moi Wan back to Yanhua Cave. But I don't know whether he placed teacher in the same position he has always slept or not. I feel a little worried, so I lift the blanket away, wanting to go check. At the slight movement, my chest wound starts hurting again. I grit my teeth and breathe in deeply. Something tugs on my blanket at the sound of my breath. I startle and open my eyes to look. Right before me are 2 flaming eyes. The owner of those eyes are sitting by my bedside. He changes his sad appearance into a cheerful one. I'm completely stunned. And I have a reason for it. Normally in scripts I've seen in the mortal realm, when a damsel in distress wakes up from her faint, the first person she sees should be the hero. This would be the perfect timing for Yahuwah to appear. Instead, where did this minor character come from? The man looks at me and at length says, "How are you feeling?" My spirit is much better after sleeping. I think I've mostly recovered. I lied, of course. But it's because the man in front of me is a little hard to deal with. If I act like a weakling, he'll try to harm me, if not gravely then at least a little, while I'm injured. That wouldn't be good, now would it be? When Jian went hunting in Zishan, he brought back Bafang and gave him to my 4th brother. Bafang became 4th brother's riding bird and all of us developed friendly relationships. He used to let me ride on him to Shili Tao Hua a few times. But then for some unknown reasons he stopped taking me. After 1,000 years I finally found out the explanation. Basically he likes Fangju. But Fangju only followed me whenever she came to visit, thus he developed a dislike for me. Although his jealousy was totally unreasonable, I didn't care to mind. On the other hand, he was extremely unrelenting. It was as if he couldn't live anymore if he didn't pick a fight with me every day. I even celebrated when he ran away. Although the sunlight isn't harsh, with the window wide open my weak eyes start hurting. Bafang quickly paces over and says, "I'll close the window." I almost jump in shock with this rare display of concern from him. He turns around and smooths out my blanket for me after closing the window. Then he asks if I want anything to drink. Even Migu isn't this thoughtful. I'm actually kind of thirsty, but I'm suspicious of Bafang's actions. When he busies himself with the tea, I suddenly comes to realization. 4th brother? You're 4th brother, aren't you? Are you teasing me by turning into Bafang? You got his looks down perfectly, but you got his personality all wrong. You know, Bafang would never treat me with such gentleness. The tea-pouring silhouette pauses a little. He turns around with an odd expression and says, "This isn't a charade. I'm really Bafang. Master Jian and His Highness have to go to the West Sea for something. I didn't feel like staying at the peach orchard alone, so I came back to steal a look at you." I was stunned into silence before I burst into laughter. "Haha, don't mind what I said then." I sneeze. He goes over to my bed. Qian, when will you stop pretending to be ignorant? You know well that you're the only one I think about in the entire kingdom of King Kaiu. Why do you insist on upsetting me? My head hurts. They say birds are the most loyal animal. It's fine if they don't fall in love, but once they do they never part until they die. Bafang should be in love with my niece and keep his heart that way. Since when did it change to me? He continues, I had no other way but to bury my love because you were engaged to the crown prince of heaven. But he couldn't even protect you properly this time. I also heard he has a mistress in the heaven palace. I've been thinking over this carefully these past few days. With his amorous nature, I can't give you to him without worries. He hasn't finished when the door creaks open. Yehua stands by the door with blanched face. In his hand is still a steaming bowl of medicine. When did dying to repay teacher's kindness turn into a romance of the wind and moon? What a remarkable play this has become. Bafang gives Yehua a glance full of appraisal and doesn't say another word. Yehua places the medicine on the table and sat there as well since Bafang is already standing by my bed. He also doesn't say anything, sitting there coldly. The room momentarily goes hush. Bafang said he hid his feelings because of my betrothal with Yehua. Well, he's quite good with hiding his feelings then, because I couldn't tell a thing for these entire 1000 years. I feel I shouldn't hurt Bafang even though I'll be rejecting him, so I stammer my words, well, I'm betrothed to the heaven family after all. Haha, you and I are fated but not destined. I'm really happy that you love me. But no matter what, we should keep our promises to others. Bafang's eyes light up. If you can be with me, I'll offend the heaven family if I have to. Yehua's awful frown isn't completely without its reasons. I understand as a wife-to-be, it's ridiculous to be talking about romance with another man right in front of him. But Bafang and I are innocent. It's his own fault to come in at the wrong time. I can't just stop receiving Bafang just because he came in without asking. On top of that, Bafang and I are old friends to begin with. After thinking carefully, I tell Yehua, can you step outside for a moment? He ignores me and lowers his head to stare at the ink-black medicine bowl. Bafang nears me and gently says, you only have to say if you want to be with me or not. I can't believe he's brave enough to do this in front of Yehua. I awkwardly say, you know I care about righteousness and propriety. I wouldn't do a thing to hurt either King Kaihu or the heaven lineage. I'm grateful for your affection, but we're not meant to be. It isn't wise for you to keep me in your heart. You should just erase it all. But I'll never forget your feelings for me now that I finally know about them. I think I spoke rather well. The way I worded my answer helped them both keep their pride. Bafang's expression turns disheartened as he looks at me. He straightens the blanket for me and turns to leave the room. Yehua is still sitting by the table. His face is unclear behind the steam from the medicine bowl. I still remember that I have to go to Yanhua Cave, but it's difficult to do so with Yehua sitting in my room. I contemplate on what excuse I should use to get him to leave. After some time I breathe out faintly and say, can you bring me my medicine? I'm suddenly tired and I want to sleep after drinking it. You can go ahead and attend to your business. He tells me yes and brings the medicine over. I don't know how many herbs are in there, but it's horribly bitter. It must be a good medicine then. Yehua places the empty bowl on the chair nearby, but he doesn't leave. He turns his head and asks, you know, you've always said you're tired whenever you don't want to see me. Are you really tired now? It really is an excuse I often use, but I don't always use it. I just couldn't find a better excuse this time. I was still thinking when he slinks his arms around my waist. I've already turned back into my fox form because of my injuries. How does he know where a fox waist is? His voice is both soft and slow. Qian Qian. I to him. He hugs me tightly without saying a word. Finally, after a long while, he says, "Those words you said were all from your heart. I'm about to pass out now. I said those things to Bafang, it has nothing to do with him. It should be Bafang who asks me if my words are heartfelt." There seems to be a smile blooming on his face, but I'm not sure what thoughts are behind it. These past few days when the little doe and I come to stay at King Kaihu, you always make me tea and play chess with me. Is it because of our betrothal? If the betrothal is with someone else, then he hugs me tighter and sighs. I force myself to laugh and say, I didn't do those things just because we're betrothed. His body stiffens as he raises his head to look at me. His eyes seem to gleam. I feel conscious under his scrutinizing eyes, so I clear my throat a few times and say, "When you were at Fox Cave, you still cooked our meals even though you were busy with your work. I'm forever touched and will never forget any of it. You gave me a peach, I'll give you back a plum. Or if not a plum, then a rose myrtle fruit. It doesn't matter who is betrothed to me. If he doesn't treat me the way you treated me, then I'd never have the patience to drink tea and play chess with him." Suddenly he ruefully sighs and buries his head on my shoulder. "I've never made food for anyone else. I only cook for only you." I use my paw to gently pat his back and say, "Your cooking is amazing. You should use some of your time to cook for your parents and grandfather to show your filialness." He pays little attention to what I say and continues, "I also didn't do any of that because of our betrothal. I didn't come to King Kai because A Li misses you either." I express understanding on my part. "Ah, so going into the kitchen is a hobby of yours? What a useful hobby it is." He still holds me tight and ignores everything I say. "I love you, Qian Qian." The sky falling down couldn't have shocked me more. I used to think my love life is like an ancient tree. Even after 1,000,000 years until eternity it would never bloom. Yet remarkably this ancient tree is now flowering. On top of that, it's not a normal flower, it's a kingly one. Yehua lifts his head to look at me questioningly. "What do you say to that?" I have no idea what to say in my bewilderment, so I breathe in deeply and reply, "Hey, this isn't the time to joke around." He coldly smiles. "I can't find any better time to say this. There doesn't need to be love for a marriage to last. But I still hope there will be genuine affections between the two of us for the rest of our lives. You should be with someone closer to your age. You should let go of your feelings for me before it becomes too deep. When you get to my age, you'll know that love means nothing. I still don't think it's fair for you that we're getting married merely because Tianjun sent down a decree. But don't be too down, I'll find you a few pretty mistresses after we're married." However, he doesn't look the slightest happy as I have thought. He intently looks at me with an aghast face. "These are your true feelings?" I put a serious expression on and say, "Yes, it's more genuine than gold." I thought he wanted to mention the mistress issue and wanted to solicit a promise from me. But as soon as I said those words, his already blanched face became ever paler. I'll still say the same thing until the end of time. We'll just maintain a pure marriage. Honestly, having attachments between spouses isn't necessarily a good thing. What if one day you want to get a mistress? Just because things are good for now doesn't mean it'll stay that way. You need to be farsighted and think about the future. Highs, you don't have to understand what I'm saying now. But you'll thank me one day when you fall for someone and want to take her back to Sao Palace. He stays in silence for a short while, then slowly says, "You intentionally say this to make me feel uncomfortable, didn't you?" An alarm goes off within me. He's too infatuated with me right now. It's true that I say them with good intentions, but perhaps it's a little early to say so at this point. I stay quiet and only look at him, not knowing how to comfort him best. It's better to talk about this stuff later. He holds me tightly within his chest and says with a hoarse voice, "I love only you and no one else." He pauses and then whispers something which I can't hear. Highs, he's breaking my heart. What a hopeless lovesick child. Yehua slowly loosens his embrace, but he doesn't go right away. He only lays me down and straightens the four corners of the blanket. I know I'm injured, but I'm not so weak that I can't lie down on my own. But seeing the sad look on his face, I let him care for me as he wishes. After fixing the blanket, he brings the empty medicine bowl to the table and brings back a teacup. He sits by my bed and says, "Ali is slightly frightened, but he's not hurt. I've taken him back to heaven and he should be fine after a few days of rest. I wanted to bring you to heaven too. There's a hot spring at Ling Bao Tiansen's place that's perfect for you." Then he furrows his brows, "But then that damn Bafang stopped me." "But you only have to tell him and I'm sure he won't say anything else. You should rest now. We'll leave for heaven tomorrow morning." I still want to sneak out to Yanhua Cave to take a look at Moi Wan. After debating in my head, I slowly ask, "Don't you have to go over reports today?" "There's nothing urgent today. Now that you remind me, I'll sit here with you a bit longer." The corner of my mouth starts to frown. He's never come up with such an excuse. He politely smiles, "Why, you aren't tired anymore?" I disappointed say through my teeth, "No. Yehua isn't acting like himself today. Ever since he started staying at King Kaiu, half of his time was spent reading reports in the study, even during his most leisure days. His feet never even touched the ground, that was how busy he was. The official Jiajin surely won't let him stay so leisurely for more than one day, even if we've ran into a big problem this time. Those reports should be pouring down from the sky. With yesterday and today's reports stacking up like that, poor Yehua won't be able to sleep tonight. I think it over and decide he's not trying to upset me by sitting here by my bed. He must be wanting to take a little break. So I pretend to be asleep and wait for him to leave before I can turn back into my human form and go to Yanhua Cave. But unlike my calculation, I start to doze off in just half a teacup time. As I drift in and out of my sleep, I dream of a dream. This dream has never visited me for the past many thousand years, but it's finally come today. I dream of Moi Wan. End of chapter 13.